You know what the problem is with most people? They think that being friendly is the same as being liked. They believe if they smile more, agree more, and give more of themselves away, people will accept them, respect them, and value them. But here's the truth. Being too friendly doesn't win you respect. It often does the opposite. It makes people see you as soft, easy, and someone they can push past without consequence. The danger of being too friendly is subtle. It feels harmless at first. You think you're just being nice, you're just trying to get along. But little by little, you give away pieces of yourself, your time, your energy, your boundaries. And before you know it, people are using you, overlooking you, or worse, disrespecting you. So, let me ask you this. Are you respected for who you are, or are you liked because you're convenient? Are you being valued, or are you just being used? Because there's a difference. And once you understand it, your entire life changes. This isn't about being cold. It's not about shutting people out. It's about understanding that when you stop being too friendly, you finally start being respected. And that respect will take you farther than being liked ever could. Most people don't realize there is a very big difference between being friendly and being a people pleaser. On the surface, they can look the same. Both smile, both say yes, both make others feel comfortable. But the motives are completely different. And so are the results. A truly friendly person shows kindness because it comes from a place of strength, from a grounded sense of self. A people pleaser, on the other hand, acts out of fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of not being enough. And when you live your life from that place, you slowly trade away your power. Being friendly is healthy. It's being polite, approachable, and open. It's the ability to make others feel at ease without compromising who you are. But people-pleasing goes much further. It's a constant need to earn approval. It's bending over backwards just so no one gets upset with you. It's saying yes when you want to say no, staying quiet when you should speak up, and smiling when inside you feel uncomfortable. And the harsh truth is this: the more you please people, the more they stop valuing you. Because what's freely given without boundaries loses its worth. Imagine someone who is always available, always agreeable, always putting others first. At first you might think, wow, what a nice person, but eventually you stop respecting them. Why? Because there is no resistance, no strength, no standard. They've made themselves predictable. And when people can predict that you'll always comply, they stop considering your needs altogether. You're no longer a person with an identity, you become a tool for their convenience. Being friendly means you show kindness, but you also know when to stop. You know where the line is drawn. You're friendly, but you're not afraid to say no. You're approachable, but you're not going to let someone waste your time or disrespect you. You smile when it's genuine, not when it's forced. That's the difference. Friendliness is authentic. People-pleasing is performative. And when you live in performance mode, you're constantly exhausted because you're wearing a mask and you're betraying yourself in the process. Think about the times you've walked away from a situation and thought, why did I agree to that? I didn't want to do it. That's people-pleasing. You traded your peace for someone else's temporary comfort. You silenced your inner voice just so you wouldn't rock the boat. But here's the thing, when you refuse to rock the boat, you sink your own ship. Because every time you agree when you don't want to, you lose a piece of yourself. Every time you keep quiet when you should speak up, you send yourself the message that your opinion doesn't matter. And over time, that chips away at your confidence, your self-worth, and your ability to stand tall. Friendly people have boundaries. They're kind, but they're not afraid to speak their mind. They know that real respect comes when others understand you're not someone who can be easily swayed. People pleasers, however, live in constant fear of being disliked. They think that the worst thing in the world is for someone to be upset with them. But the truth is, the worst thing in the world is betraying yourself just to keep the peace. Because one day, you'll wake up and realize you've been living a life built on other people's expectations, not your own. It's important to understand that people-pleasing doesn't even guarantee love or appreciation. In fact, it often creates the opposite. When you're too accommodating, people begin to sense the lack of authenticity. They notice that you're not standing on firm ground, and subconsciously, they start to respect you less. They might enjoy the benefits of your compliance, but they don't admire you for it. Deep down, we all respect the ones who can stand their ground, not the ones who are too eager to fit in. And let's not forget the emotional cost. People pleasers are constantly drained because they're giving away their energy to everyone else while ignoring their own needs. They often feel resentful inside, but they mask it with a smile. That resentment builds up like pressure in a bottle. Eventually, it either explodes or eats away at you silently. Either way, it leaves you weaker, not stronger. Being friendly, on the other hand, empowers you. It means you're in control of your energy. You give your kindness to those who deserve it, not to everyone indiscriminately. You know your worth, and you refuse to negotiate it for temporary approval. So ask yourself, am I being friendly or am I being a people pleaser? Do I offer kindness because it's genuine or because I'm afraid of rejection? Do I smile because I feel good or because I'm trying to avoid conflict? The answers to these questions will tell you where you stand. And if you realize that you've been trapped in the cycle of people pleasing, it's time to step out of it. The first step is to recognize that not everyone has to like you, and that's perfectly okay. In fact, it's better that way. When you're authentic, some people won't like you, and that's the price of living true to yourself. But the ones who stay, the ones who respect you, those are the people who matter. They're not here for what you can give them or how much you can bend for them. They're here because they value the real you. At the end of the day, being friendly is about strength. People pleasing is about fear. Strength commands respect. Fear invites exploitation. And you deserve respect, not exploitation. You deserve to walk into every room knowing that you don't need to beg for approval. You deserve to stand tall, to say no when you mean no, to protect your energy, and to live a life that isn't dictated by the opinions of others. That's the power of choosing to be friendly without falling into the trap of being a people pleaser. Respect is one of the most misunderstood values in our world today. Too many people believe that if they are nice, if they are polite, if they bend over backward to accommodate everyone around them, respect will naturally follow. But that is not how it works. Respect is not a gift handed to you because you showed up with a smile. Respect is not something people owe you simply because you exist. Respect is earned, and it is earned through the way you carry yourself, the standards you set, and the boundaries you enforce. Think about the people you admire most. Are they the ones who are always saying yes, always agreeable, always trying to keep everyone comfortable? Probably not. The ones we respect are those who stand firm in who they are. They may not be the friendliest, they may not be the most accommodating, but when they speak, people listen. When they walk into a room, others notice, and it's not because they demanded respect, it's because they embodied it. You see, the mistake many people make is confusing being liked with being respected. Being liked is easy. Smile more, agree with others, avoid conflict, and most people will like you. But here's the catch. Liking someone doesn't mean respecting them. Liking someone is often superficial. Respect, on the other hand, runs deeper. It's about admiration for someone's strength, their conviction, their integrity, and those things are not won by constantly trying to please others. Respect flows from strength, not weakness. If you say yes to everything, people stop valuing your time. If you let people interrupt you, they stop valuing your words. If you allow people to cross your boundaries, they stop valuing your presence. Respect is maintained when people know there are lines that cannot be crossed. It is sustained when they understand that your kindness is a choice, not a weakness. When you set a standard and consistently hold it, people learn how to treat you. But if you fail to set that standard, don't be surprised when they treat you however they please. Let's put this in perspective. Imagine someone lends money to everyone who asks, even when they can't afford it. At first, people may think, wow, they're so generous. But soon, word spreads, and everyone begins asking because they know this person can't say no. Eventually, they're no longer admired for generosity. They're taken advantage of because of their inability to set limits. The same happens with your time, your attention, and your energy. If you hand it out freely to anyone who demands it, people stop valuing it. They start expecting it. They stop appreciating you because they've come to see your effort as the bare minimum. Respect is built when you draw a line and say, this is what I will allow and this is what I won't. Respect grows when you are willing to walk away from people who don't treat you the way you deserve. Respect comes when you are clear about your standards and you don't lower them just to make someone else comfortable. It doesn't mean you have to be cold, but it does mean you have to be firm. And firmness doesn't push people away, it attracts the right ones to you while keeping the wrong ones out. This is especially important in a world where so many people mistake kindness for weakness. If you are too available, too forgiving, too tolerant, people will test how far they can go with you. Some will push until you have nothing left to give, and when you finally get tired and say no, they will be shocked. Not because you said no, but because you allowed them to believe for so long that you never would. That's why boundaries and respect go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. Here's another truth. Respect is not won through words. It's won through actions. You can tell people all day long that they should respect you, but if your behavior contradicts that, they won't. If you allow people to walk all over you, your words don't matter. If you say, I won't tolerate being spoken to that way, but then laugh it off when someone disrespects you, they'll keep doing it. Respect isn't about demanding. It's about consistently living in alignment with your values and proving through your actions that you mean what you say. Think of the leaders, mentors, or role models you've encountered in your life. The ones you respected weren't necessarily the warmest or the most approachable, but they had integrity. They had consistency. They didn't bend to every whim or mood of the crowd. They knew who they were, and they stood firmly in it. That's what makes people take notice. That's what earns lasting respect. Respect is also connected to self-respect. You cannot expect others to treat you better than you treat yourself. If you constantly doubt yourself, belittle yourself, and ignore your own needs, you set the tone for how others will see you. But when you hold yourself to high standards, when you take care of yourself, when you invest in your growth, when you refuse to tolerate disrespect, you send a message. And that message is, I value myself, and if you want a place in my life, you have to value me too. The truth is, respect is never free. It's not automatic. You can be the kindest person in the world, but if you don't draw a line, people won't respect you. And that's why being too friendly often backfires. Because friendliness without boundaries can make you invisible. It can make people overlook your worth. It can cause others to enjoy your company but never truly value it. So don't chase respect by trying to be liked. Don't think that constant friendliness will elevate you in the eyes of others. Instead, live in a way that makes people say, I can't cross that line with them. I can't take them for granted. I know their time is valuable, their energy is limited, and their presence is not something I should abuse. That's how respect is earned. Respect comes when you no longer fear disapproval. It comes when you're willing to be disliked for the sake of staying true to who you are. And once you have it, it's far more powerful than being liked. People may forget the ones who made them feel comfortable, but they will never forget the ones who made them stand taller, think deeper, and act better because of the strength they carried. Boundaries are not walls meant to shut people out. They are the invisible armor that protects your peace, your time, and your self-respect. Too many people live their lives without boundaries, giving unlimited access to anyone who wants a piece of them. They answer every call, agree to every favor, and allow anyone to step into their personal space. At first, it feels harmless. You think you're just being kind, being available, being a good person. But over time, you realize you're drained, overextended, and slowly losing yourself. That is what life without boundaries does. It strips you of your energy and leaves you vulnerable to being used. Boundaries are a declaration of self-worth. They are you saying, I value my time, my mind, and my emotions enough to protect them. When you have boundaries, you decide who gets access to you, how much they get, and under what conditions. Without them, you leave the door wide open, and anyone can walk in. And let me tell you, not everyone who wants your attention deserves it. Not everyone who demands your time has good intentions. Not everyone who smiles in your face values you. Boundaries are what separate those who deserve a seat at your table from those who only want to drain what you've built. People often confuse boundaries with selfishness, but in reality, they're the opposite. Boundaries allow you to give more authentically. When you're not stretched thin, when you're not resentful, when you're not exhausted from overextending yourself, you can show up for the right people in the right way. But if you say yes to everything and everyone, you dilute the quality of your presence. You end up showing up half-hearted, drained, and irritated. Boundaries ensure that when you do say yes, it comes from a place of strength, not obligation. The truth is, people will always test you. They will push to see how much of you they can get. If you never say no, they'll keep asking. If you never draw a line, they'll keep crossing it. It's not because they're evil, it's simply human nature. People adjust to the standards you set. And if you set no standard, you become an easy target. Boundaries tell the world, this is how far you can go with me, and no further, and the ones who respect you will honor that. The ones who don't will fall away, and that's exactly what you want.
One of the biggest reasons people struggle with boundaries is fear of rejection.
They worry that if they say no, people will stop liking them. They fear being seen as difficult, cold, or uncaring. But let me ask you this, what's worse? Losing a few people who only stayed because you gave them everything they wanted, or losing yourself because you were too afraid to draw the line? Boundaries may cost you some relationships, but they will only cost you the wrong ones. The right people will not walk away when you enforce your limits. In fact, they'll respect you more. Because boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about teaching people how to treat you. And don't think boundaries are just about other people. They're also about you. They are the discipline you place on yourself to maintain balance. For example, deciding how much time you spend on social media is a boundary. Choosing when to switch off work and give your family your undivided attention is a boundary. Saying you'll get 8 hours of sleep instead of staying up late to binge watch shows is a boundary. Every boundary you set for yourself strengthens you because without them, you live scattered, reactive, and unfocused. With them, you live intentionally, knowing exactly where your energy is going. Let's be clear, setting boundaries doesn't mean you'll never face resistance. In fact, when you first start enforcing them, people will push back. They'll test you even harder, especially if they were used to taking advantage of your lack of limits. They'll call you selfish, distant, or unfriendly. But remember, their reaction isn't about your boundary. It's about their discomfort at losing the control they once had over you. Don't let that guilt manipulate you. Stand firm, because once people see you're serious, they adjust. And if they don't, they reveal that they never valued you in the first place. Boundaries are also the key to self-respect. When you protect your time, you're saying your life matters. When you say no to toxic behaviors, you're saying your peace matters. When you refuse to let people overstep, you're saying your worth matters. And the way you treat yourself sets the tone for how others will treat you. If you don't respect your own boundaries, no one else will either. It's important to remember that boundaries are not about being rude or harsh. You don't have to raise your voice or be aggressive to enforce them. In fact, the strongest boundaries are calm, firm, and consistent. A simple, no, I can't do that, or I'm not available at this time is enough. The key is consistency. If you say one thing but do another, people won't take you seriously. But when your actions align with your words, people learn very quickly that your limits are real. In the end, boundaries are a form of self-protection and self-love. They are the armor that shields you from being drained, manipulated, and disrespected. Without them, you are exposed. With them, you are strong. They don't make you cold. They make you clear. They don't isolate you. They protect you. And the beautiful part is, once you learn to live with boundaries, you start to attract relationships that are healthier, stronger, and more genuine. Because people who truly value you will never ask you to abandon your boundaries to keep them close. So stop apologizing for protecting your peace. Stop feeling guilty for saying no. Stop believing that you owe everyone unlimited access to your life. You don't. You owe yourself respect, energy, and peace first. That's what boundaries give you. They remind you that you are not here to serve everyone at the cost of yourself. You are here to live with strength, with clarity, and with dignity. And the moment you start honoring your boundaries, you'll see that the world will begin to honor you too. The cost of being overly friendly is often invisible at first. It sneaks up on you in small ways, little compromises you make in order to avoid conflict or to make sure everyone feels good around you. You tell yourself it's no big deal when you agree to help even though you're exhausted. You laugh at jokes that make you uncomfortable because you don't want to seem uptight. You listen to someone vent endlessly, even though it drains you, because you don't want to appear rude. And before you realize it, you've built a life where your energy belongs more to other people than to yourself. That is the hidden cost of being too friendly. You sacrifice yourself for the comfort of others, and they rarely even notice what it's costing you. One of the biggest costs is loss of credibility. When you're too eager to please, people stop taking you seriously. They see your friendliness not as a choice, but as a lack of strength. They assume you'll always say yes, so they stop valuing your yes. They assume you'll always show up, so they stop appreciating your presence. Think about it. The more available you make yourself to everyone, the less valuable your time becomes. Scarcity creates value, and when you are always accessible, always agreeable, you dilute your worth in the eyes of others. Another cost is that you attract the wrong people. Manipulators, takers, and users are drawn to over-friendly people like moths to a flame. Why? Because they can sense who will let boundaries slide, who will tolerate disrespect, who will give more than they should. Over-friendliness is like leaving your doors unlocked in a crowded city. It sends a signal that anyone can walk in, and trust me, not everyone who walks in has good intentions. The sad truth is that being too friendly makes you a target for people who don't have your best interests at heart. There's also the emotional toll. Being overly friendly often means silencing your true feelings. You hide your irritation behind a smile. You swallow your opinions so you won't rock the boat. You agree to things you don't want just to avoid disappointing others. But that resentment doesn't disappear. It builds inside of you. And over time, it turns into frustration, bitterness, and even anger. You end up exhausted because you're performing instead of living authentically. You start to feel invisible because no one really knows how you feel. They only know the version of you that caters to them. And then there's the toll on your time and energy. Over-friendliness drains you because it stretches you thin. You end up attending events you didn't want to go to, doing favors you didn't want to do, and listening to people who never listen back. Each yes you give when you mean no chips away at your limited supply of energy. Before long, you're running on empty, giving to everyone else but leaving nothing for yourself. And when you finally burn out, those same people you gave so much to will often disappear because they were never there for you. They were there for what you could give them. There's also a hidden danger in how people perceive over-friendliness. When you're too nice, too agreeable, people assume you don't have a backbone. They may like you, but they don't respect you. They might enjoy your company, but they won't seek your advice when it matters. They'll take your kindness as a sign of weakness, even if that's not who you really are. And here's the painful truth. Once people put you in that category, it's very hard to climb out. They don't take your no seriously. They don't honor your time, and they don't view you as a person with authority or strength. All because you taught them, through your over-friendliness, that you'll bend whenever they push. The cost doesn't stop at relationships with others. It also damages the relationship you have with yourself. Every time you betray your own feelings to please someone else, you send yourself a message, my needs don't matter, and when you repeat that message enough, you start to believe it. Your self-esteem erodes, your confidence weakens, and you become dependent on the approval of others to feel good about yourself. That's a dangerous place to be, because it means your self-worth is no longer in your hands. It belongs to anyone who gives or withholds their approval. That's not freedom. That's servitude. Over-friendliness also prevents growth. When you're too focused on being liked, you avoid difficult conversations. You don't set higher standards. You don't challenge people, and you don't challenge yourself. You play small because you're afraid that showing your full strength might intimidate others or cause friction, but growth comes through discomfort. Respect is built through honesty, not constant agreement. And success requires you to stand out, not blend in. When you're too friendly, you risk becoming invisible in the areas of life where visibility matters most. The challenge is to recognize when friendliness crosses the line into self-betrayal. Ask yourself, am I smiling because I want to or because I feel I have to? Am I saying yes out of choice or out of fear of rejection? Am I showing kindness or am I afraid to set boundaries? The answers to those questions will tell you whether your friendliness is authentic or costly. The truth is, being over-friendly might earn you more acquaintances, but it won't earn you deep respect. It might make you liked, but it won't make you valued. And at the end of the day, it's far better to be respected by a few than to be used by many. Respect leads to opportunities. Respect leads to influence. Respect leads to real, authentic connections. But over friendliness, that only leads to exhaustion and emptiness. There is real strength in being friendly, but only when that friendliness is selective. When you learn to choose who deserves your energy, your time, and your kindness, you begin to operate from a place of power instead of weakness. Too many people believe they must be warm and welcoming to everyone in order to be considered good. They think friendliness should be unconditional, but unconditional friendliness is not strength. It is exposure. It makes you vulnerable to anyone who wants to take advantage of you. Selective friendliness, on the other hand, is what creates respect, authority, and balance in your life. Think of it this way, if everyone has access to you, then no one truly values that access. What is abundant is rarely treasured. This is why people take for granted the ones who are always available, always accommodating, always ready to sacrifice themselves for the comfort of others. But when you're selective with your friendliness, when you're intentional about who gets your kindness and when, people notice, they understand that your attention is not cheap. They understand that your presence is not something to be wasted. And that's when they start respecting it. Selective friendliness is not about being rude or cold. It's about being wise. It's about observing people's behavior and deciding who has earned the right to experience your warmth. Because not everyone deserves it. Not everyone has pure intentions. Some people come into your life to support you, to uplift you, to stand with you. Others come to drain you, to use you, to manipulate you. If you treat them all the same, you end up dishonoring yourself. But when you are selective, you create a filter that protects you from those who do not deserve your trust. Selective friendliness also builds mystery. When you are not too available, when you don't reveal everything about yourself immediately, people become curious. They want to know more. They want to earn more of your trust. They want to see more of who you are. And in that curiosity lies respect, because people value what they have to earn. If you give everything away for free, your attention, your kindness, your time, there's nothing left for them to work for. And what's free often goes unappreciated. This doesn't mean you walk around with arrogance or coldness. It means you walk around with discernment. You can still be approachable, polite, and kind, but you don't give every part of yourself to everyone you meet. You measure your friendliness by who has shown themselves to be worthy of it. You learn to read people, to recognize their patterns, and to act accordingly. This is not being unfriendly. It's being intelligent. It's protecting your energy so you can give the best of yourself to those who actually value it. Selective friendliness is also about self-respect. When you choose carefully who receives your kindness, you send yourself a powerful message. I am valuable. My energy is precious. Not everyone gets to have it. And when you live by that principle, others start to believe it too. They treat you differently because they can sense that you are not desperate for approval. You're not chasing anyone. You're not trying to be liked by everyone. You are solid in yourself. And that solidity commands attention. Selective friendliness also gives you control over your relationships. Instead of being swept up in the needs and demands of everyone around you, you decide who gets access. You're no longer reacting. You're leading. You're no longer pulled in 100 directions. You're choosing your path. This creates balance. It allows you to focus on the relationships that nurture you, instead of wasting yourself on the ones that drain you. And that shift alone can transform your entire life, because your environment shapes who you become. Surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries, and your life rises in quality. Of course, selective friendliness requires courage. It means being willing to let some people walk away. It means not everyone will like you, and being okay with that. It means valuing respect over approval. That's not easy, especially if you're used to being the one who makes everyone comfortable. But here's the truth. You cannot live a life of strength if you are addicted to being liked. The ones who matter, the ones who deserve your energy, will respect you even when you say no. They will value you even when you set limits. They won't leave because of your boundaries. They'll stay because of them. In the end, selective friendliness is about control. It's about choosing who gets your best instead of giving it away to everyone. It's about recognizing that your energy is not limitless. And if you waste it on the wrong people, you won't have enough left for the right ones. It's about understanding that true power lies not in being liked by all, but in being respected by those who matter. So stop scattering your energy. Stop thinking you need to be liked by everyone. Start practicing restraint. Smile when it's genuine. Offer kindness when it's deserved. Give your time to those who respect it. Because when your friendliness is selective, it's not weakness, it's power. It makes your presence meaningful, your words valuable, and your respect undeniable. That is the strength of being friendly on your terms. When you stop being too friendly, something shifts inside of you. You stop chasing people's approval and you start commanding their respect. You stop scattering your energy everywhere and you begin to invest it where it truly matters. You stop apologizing for having boundaries and you start protecting your peace like the treasure it is. Being friendly is not weakness, it is strength when it is intentional. But when you give it away freely to everyone, it loses its value. You are not meant to be available to everyone. You are not meant to be the one who sacrifices your own dignity just to make others comfortable. You are not meant to dilute your worth by saying yes when you want to say no. Your time is precious, your energy is limited, your presence is valuable, and when you treat it that way, the world around you starts treating it that way too. So remember this, respect is not demanded, it is commanded. It is earned by how you carry yourself, how you set your boundaries, and how you refuse to give yourself away too cheaply. People may not like you for it, but they will respect you, and respect will take you further than approval ever will. As you move forward, let your kindness be powerful, not desperate. Let your friendliness be selective, not scattered. Let your presence carry weight, not be taken for granted. Stop being too friendly, start being strong, intentional, and discerning, because the world does not need another person who bends to fit in. The world needs someone who stands firm, who values themselves, and who shows others what it means to live with dignity. When you do that, you will find that the right people, the ones who see your worth, will stay. The wrong ones will fall away. And in that process, you will gain something priceless, a life filled with respect, peace, and strength. That is the reward of no longer being too friendly. That is the power of knowing your value.